Let's cross over to Pascal Zanders. He's the director of the Trench. That's an organization focusing on the armament and disarmament of weapons of mass destruction. Thank you for joining us here on TRT World. So based on the reports you've seen in the media, the pictures, the video, would you call this a chemical attack?
Yes, I think we can be sure it was a chemical attack that happened today, and that it was also the worst incident since the attack in Ghouta in August of 2013.
And can you suggest what type of gas may have been used here?
Well, this is not certain. There are still many elements we need to know to be able to determine it. It's very difficult from a selection of images and pictures we get via the social media to make a firm statement on that. But on the one hand, I'm surprised by the number of casualties in this incident. Of course, we don't know yet where all the people, where the victims were, but if they were out in the open, chlorine is perhaps not the agent that would come to my mind. On the other hand, here and there we see pictures, we see some footage that seems to indicate that some sort of a nerve agent might have been used, be it sarin or something else. But it's very difficult from a distance to confirm that.
And what sort of evidence will investigators be looking for here to determine the type of gas used and who may be behind the strike?
Well, right now, the people at the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the so-called fact-finding mission, is already analyzing all the data that they have in their possession. I'm pretty sure that in the meantime there are also diplomatic engagements with Syria to allow the fact-finding mission to enter the country. And the sooner the better, of course, because then the evidence will still be fresh. There will be traces of the agent available, and the people will be able to conduct medical examination with as purpose to identify what they have been exposed to.
And you mentioned that you didn't think it's chlorine. What suggests that, and what other chemical could it be?
Well, the range is really very big. The basic position is Syria shouldn't have any sarin or other nerve agent anymore. The agents were evacuated from the country. They have been destroyed in Europe, in the United States. Mustard agent has been evacuated and destroyed. So either if sarin were to be the agent determined, then Syria would be in flagrant violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention. But even if it proves to be chlorine, Syria would still be in material breach of the convention. So this is really a very serious issue we're talking about.
And how are the investigations carried out? Will they be let into Syria?
Well, that's why I said right now I would assume that there are intensive diplomatic interactions between the organization and Syria, between other member states of the OPCW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, and Syria, to enable the inspectors to get in. The interesting aspect today is that both Syrian sources and Russian sources have not denied that a chemical weapon incident took place. They have acknowledged that fact. However, their explanation is that it was an attack on a factory by the insurgents that has caused the spread of the toxic chemicals. So from that perspective, I would imagine that the Syrian government also has an interest in having the incident investigated.
And you said one of the worst attacks was 2013 in Damascus suburb of Ghouta. So that was based on a United Nations report saying that sarin gas was used. So were they let in then to investigate?
Well, indeed. So that happened at a moment when the UN inspectors were present in Syria already. So their mandate was changed to investigate that. Syria, at that particular point, was not yet a party to the Chemical Weapons Convention. That happened in October of 2013. So today what we would be seeing are investigations conducted by the OPCW independently with all their technical expertise and with the cooperation of the United Nations. But such type of investigation cannot be carried out without the permission of the government on whose territory such an incident has taken place.
So has the international community failed people in Syria, and what can really be done at this point?
Well, first and foremost, the facts need to be established. But as we know from past experience, the OPCW is not the organization. It has not the mandate to determine who is responsible for the attacks. Determining responsibility is a political question. It's not a scientific question. And that issue, the report by the OPCW, will be transmitted to the United Nations Security Council, and their decisions will be taken. However, as we've seen at the end of February, when a resolution was submitted to the Security Council in order to condemn Syria once again for the violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention and its use of chemical weapons, and also impose sanctions on a number of people who were identified by a UN investigative mechanism. It was vetoed by both the Russian Federation and China. So in other words, even if the facts are 100% certain and done in the most consistent and solid way, in the end, the decision is always political. And this is the source of so much frustration internationally.
So we don't have much time left, but one quick last question. Why are chemical weapons so effective, and what is the psychological effect on a population?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question. Could you repeat it, please?
So why are chemical weapons so effective, and what is the psychological effect on the population?
Okay, thank you. The whole point is chemical weapons from a military viewpoint are not very effective. However, the weapons have a huge psychological impact on the people who are exposed to the agent. So the thinking is very much that in the case of Syria, the use is a weapon of terror against the population, to submit the population, to break the fighting spirit. It would also explain why it's used here and there in civilian surroundings. And as we see time and time again, then hospitals get attacked. Most of the chemical agents are heavier than air, which means that when there is shelling or bombing, people will go into the cellars to seek protection against the bombs and the shells. However, a chemical agent will seep through the holes and poison the people. To protect themselves from that, they have to go outside to higher levels, but that exposes them to bombing and shelling. That's an impossible position for people who have been suffering in war.
Thank you. That's all the time we have. Pascal Zanders, the director of the Trench, and for that insight.